What's up, everybody? I'm David Castillo from Saint Vitus. Welcome to another edition of Age of Quarantine. Hope you guys are doing well. We got Robin from Big Brave joining us today. Super excited. One of my favorite fucking bands. I really love them, so really excited to have her join us. And yeah, man, we're going to get into it really soon with her. Hope everybody's been doing well, being healthy. A lot of fucking crazy shit's happening in this country with COVID. So take care of yourselves, please. Wear a mask, do all that good stuff. And man, just take care on that. And, continue to join the various social movements for change in this country because that's what the fuck we need. Oh.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
We did it.
We did it. Shit.
We did it.
Oh,
Okay.
this is funny. I've never done this thing on this before.
You know what? Me
Yeah.
neither.
Okay.
Um,
But yes, you have.
yeah, I don't know if you heard about this, but this pandemic happened, and
Right.
now this is how life works.
Right. I heard about the pandemic. I don't know. I'm usually a homebody anyway, so
So you're good with this.
yes. Oh,
Well, thank you for joining us. First of
my
all,
pleasure. Of course. Thanks for
uh,
having me.
I'm a big fan. I fucking love your band,
That's really
uh,
kind.
and I wanted to, just first, I start off all of these in a really kind of simple way, which is if you weren't at home right now, do you know where you would be?
Uh,
This dragged on longer than I thought, so this becomes
right.
a harder question. I
Right. But wouldn't we be playing?
think you would be on tour.
We would be on tour.
So
And
Vitus
would
would have been a week and a half ago or something.
okay,
So,
okay, so then my goodness, I'm not quite sure.
yeah,
Honestly, like when stuff started to get canceled, I shut down my brain.
yeah,
It was like a way of coping and uh but also just I think what happened was I was like, all right, this I'm not going to be able to, not that we make money doing touring anyway, but we make enough to break even, but I'm like, okay, well, I won't be able to float or get by for the next however long this lasts. So I like immediately went into automatic and started to figure out my finances. And then, because like I also have two day jobs too, so they one by one shut down, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
this
I
is
feel like that's
exceptional.
sort of the first reaction, right? Is just like everybody kind of looking around and sort of just, whoa, this sort of precipitous thing that just sort of went down, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
so yeah, and for a lot of musicians, right, it's like best laid plans.
right.
We're these things, these events, these shows that you guys go to all the time, they take a lot of logistics and a long time to plan, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you're just like, okay, well now this next 6 months of my life or something are just completely.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when I do these, we kind of also, so I ask that question, and then we kind of start from the beginning, from the early
Okay,
moments of the musical journey, your musical,
okay.
what we're here for. So when you were a younger person, what was like kind of some early memories of just being attracted to music in the first place? What made you sort of say, "Hey, I really love music"?
Um, I think I don't think I've ever really had that moment. It was more that, um, like being a pubescent teenager, adolescent, feeling all of the feelings, and then the slightest thing that goes wrong is the end of the world. Most of whatever music I came across, I found something in it that spoke to me or that moved me, and I wasn't even looking for anything in particular. I was just looking for something that moved me. So, but I didn't even have the vocabulary to under or like to explain that or understand that. It just was just this. thing. And then when I started, I have the most uncoolest thing about music growing up, like super, super uncool. I listened to the radio. I had my mom's tapes, and it was Madonna and Celine Dion and Bread.
Yo, I think Madonna is my favorite artist of all time.
Oh, very cool.
You know, and like you're just preaching to the converted here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I live now in a town called Neptune, but there's a town next to me, right outside of Asbury Park, and there's a town next to me called Ocean Grove. And Shep Pettibone, who's one of the great remixers of the 80s, also who wrote Vogue, is from the town next door.
Really? What?
And it got me geeked out of my mind.
Oh.
How about that?
Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool.
And fuck, so I'm with you.
Yes. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, so that's what I listened to, and then when I finally got bored of the radio station that I was listening to and changed it, it was more of I think it was like the rock station, and I was maybe 12.
Remember the
Yeah, Chom 97.7, Montreal Chom, but it's spelled CHOM.
Chom.
Chom. Yeah. Oh my God.
Ours is Q104.3.
Q104.3. It's so funny what we remember, eh? Yeah. But then, you know, it was a lot heavier than the pop music, because like I listened to R&B and whatever pop and whatever dance was on the radio, and I was kind of poor. I didn't have any money to buy music at all until I started getting like a little allowance when I was a bit older, like maybe 13 or 14, and then I would buy a CD when my mom splurged and got me a CD player. It blew my mind. I was like, what? And no, but then that's when that actually kind of sparked something in me with regards to the want to play music. Yeah. So the rock station in my local radio got me sort of wanting to at least learn to sing, because I had never sung before or learned how to play an instrument. And I didn't even learn how to play an instrument until I was in my early to mid 20s. And I only ever really...
So singing came first.
Singing kind of came first. Like I was in my high school play and I had a lead and we sang, and people were like, oh, you have a voice. And I'm like, I guess. And then I would sing with some people who would play the guitar sometimes, and I didn't understand what I was doing. I just would do it. And then when I picked up the guitar, I just kind of was teaching myself that and how to sing and everything. And
you know what's really interesting too there is like, well, first of all, I was the lead of my school play, so boom.
Oh, really?
Look at us. We're just
holy shit.
But yeah, I think that when you're young, you never really know what you're doing, or maybe now you think that you know more, and then when you look back, you're just like, I was just kind of firing everywhere, just anything, and which is kind of a really interesting time, because also I think you're a little less scared of
when you're younger.
Yeah, of anything.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I was scared of everything. Especially with regards to people. I grew up really, really shy, really anxious when it came to socializing. Like I would watch people and I didn't understand how they could have such ease with the banter and the joking around. And I mean, you know, and then I realized what alcohol can do for that. So,
it's Paloma right here.
Hell, nice. Fuck. Oh, that sounds good. And
I'm
sorry?
I'm a pro.
You're a pro. I'm a pretty good pro at it too,
Yeah.
actually. But yeah, so then with my realization that alcohol can kind of help me overcome that, then yeah, then I wasn't as scared until the next morning. I would have the like, what the fuck did I just do? I like jammed with a bunch of people that I barely know, and it was probably terrible anyway. Just
Just
yeah.
that whole like flood of feelings. But do you feel that maybe being that introvert kind of helped you kind of build your own little world a little bit of playing and doing other things because you were a little bit shy? Like maybe developed a little bit of uniqueness in your style?
Yeah, maybe. I think that's a good question. I think for sure that probably would, I've never really thought about that, but I imagine that that would have an effect on certain things with regards to like the creating of music.
See, because my feeling, just in general, too,
Yeah,
like a lot of solo artists, especially, have this. It's like they're sitting and they're building their own little world, and then you get to come in and experience that world with them. And it's like,
right,
oh, this is what you've been doing in Wisconsin the whole time, Zola Juice,
right,
or something,
right,
you know?
right.
And
Right.
I think that your music retains a bit of a singular quality that, obviously now you're with the band and everything, but it has that sort of vibe where I'm like, I don't know exactly where this is, but that's a good thing. It's a good
Oh
thing.
yeah. Oh cool. That's
So
good.
maybe that's also a product of you also just kind of being on your own a bit and then finally overcoming that. But I feel like people who develop without a strong, bigger group around them, the group thing doesn't get to them as much.
No way. That's interesting. Yeah. I think too because I think you're onto something, and also because the guitarist, our guitarist, Big Brave, ugh, God, um, I've clearly only talked to like 10 people this whole time. Like I can, ugh. Um, what am I saying? Yeah, Mathieu, the other guitarist in Big Brave, he was the one that also kind of like helped me well, just like open the door and made a safe space for me to do that, to do exactly what you're saying, and have confidence in even writing a thing or helping write or contributing anything musically. But because I also started off learning country songs, like John Prine songs and
Oh,
Gillian Welch
right.
songs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. R.I.P. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, fantastic songwriter, guys. If you don't know John Prine, check it out.
yes.
Phenomenal songwriter. And so when you really first started playing with people, it was more country music that you were playing?
Yeah, it was, yeah, like, yeah, exactly that. Like I would, there were some other people that played the banjo, other guitars, and other vocalists. Like we were all just kids, and we'd all just learn country songs because they were fun for us and easy to learn, and especially seeing as how like my hands are small, and on a regular acoustic guitar it like a steel string acoustic guitar. It was like fucking. I hated playing it, but most country songs are about three chords, and I'd just get used to playing the same three chords over and over again, and it was super easy, and it kind of helped me figure out how to use my voice or like start using my voice or something to that effect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of times, everyone has those things where like you identify with it and you're like, man, I can start to find myself in these like different artists and moments. I grew up in New York. The hardcore scene was a very big thing for me.
Yeah,
Artists like Refuse, like Dennis from Refuse, or Tompa from At the Gates and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, these guys, the way that they sing, the register that they sing in this heavy music, I'm like, I may be able to do something like that.
yeah, yeah.
And besides John Prine, who are some other vocalists or some of the songs that you were singing at that time?
Do you know, I don't know how to pronounce it, if it's Gillian or Gillian Welsh.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, her specifically blew my mind because one of the first songs I listened to of hers was fuck, I forget what it's called. It's like I think it's Blackbird, but it's like anyway, it's just a simple song, and to me, I thought it was this really old traditional-ish song, but it turns out it's this woman that's still alive that wrote it at the time, like not that long ago, like in the 2000s or something, and her voice is very underrated. She has this control and this quality to her voice that is just quite beautiful and perfect for what she's doing, and that was very inspiring to me.
Yeah.
And then for other ones, it was, I think I learned, well, it's not really country, it's more folk, but some like Neil Young songs, and even Joni Mitchell was a bit too hard, but for my technical abilities at the time. And
Around what age were you when you were listening to all this stuff and getting inspired? Like teen?
in my early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was, yeah, late bloomer, total late bloomer with regards to music. And I'm also a very slow at taking in music as well. Like it takes me a while to really warm up to a new band or a new artist. Like I might check them out, and then I might check them out again later, and then I might do a full deep dive, and then I mean I don't know. I think I'm just,
We're kind of a lot alike in that regard.
oh yeah.
Kind of a weird thing to say for someone who books bands for a living and probably listens to a lot of shit.
Hmm.
And I'll listen to a lot. But
Yeah.
when I need to go to my like favorite musical places or emotional places, honestly, because at least my feelings on music, a lot of it is like I'm here for a visceral time.
Yes.
You
Hmm.
know, like
Hmm.
I don't really like background music too much. I'm
Mm.
here for the visceral time when I'm
Yeah.
like listening and everything like that, which I think is what drew me into heavy music and a lot of other stuff that I like. But I'm here for visceral time. So yeah, so if I can't like engage with it the right way,
Hmm.
I'm like, like I listen. I'm like, cool. I understand it. I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Sort of see what I need to know of it. But
Yeah.
then I go to a different space to be like, okay, does this really like matter to me? Am I like really hitting this? You know?
Yeah.
So I'm like that too. Sometimes it takes me a while to be like, oh fuck, now I truly understand the brilliance of this.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. I feel less alone and weird.
We're about like, what are you talking about?
I guess so.
Two Madonna loving freaks out here on.
Hello. Cheers to that.
Oh, no problem. Zero problem.
Cool.
So you're in your 20s, we're
Yes.
playing all of this sort of folk and country, and you're kind of like really growing into yourself. And you mentioned before that with the band, that's when you really started contributing and writing more.
Yeah.
Did you like what kind of bridged the gap from this sort of kind of musical expression and for everybody out there too, like so many incredible bands, some of my favorite bands in the world started playing covers and doing things like that
Oh
and
yeah.
their voices and doing like that. Everyone from the Beatles to fucking Twisted Sister from Long Island.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
so basically, what kind of bridged the gap? Because I feel like all of a sudden here we are in this heavier band and stuff like that. So tell me the story.
Okay, so what happened was I my guitarist and I met as roommates at first, and he had played in a bunch of bands prior to, and at the time I was like maybe 24, 25. He was, I don't, just like a bit younger, by a year or two too. And yeah, and he would play the guitar all the time, and he's like, "Oh, do you play?" And I'm like, "Sort of," or whatever. And he's like, "Here." And so we would just like jam out stuff, and it was very, very folky. And then it became more ambient. And then because I never really even talked about music other than like, oh, have you heard this artist? Don't you love this song? Isn't that cool? Blah, 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 blah. Like I've never really talked about music conceptually or even learned anything more than what I had exposed myself to by that time. He started talking to me about these artists that I've never heard of, like John Cage, and and right and introduced me to like Tim Hecker and a bunch of other musicians and a bunch of other bands. And
I love Tim.
yeah, me too. And what else? Oh, and just like a whole world of music. Like I had already done my fair share, but I was also in art school and like doing other things where his life was music and mine was more visual arts. And
Interesting.
yeah, and I mean, he was also in visual arts too, but he was like, music is his passion. He had played since he could pick up a guitar almost. And he was in a lot of like loud math rock bands.
At this time, what are you going to art school for?
Painting and drawing, specifically fine arts, painting and drawing, and anthropology.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm for sociology and philosophy. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
we're close. We're close.
Right. Right. Very.
Yeah, we're good.
Yes.
But so you guys are so you met kind of in this context of
Yeah.
of art in a way, but
Yeah.
then living together was
Yeah.
really what started this discourse on like a broader thing, right?
Right. Right. And so, you know, then we just started playing with a bunch of other musician friends of his, and we did like we wrote a bunch of folky ambient songs together, and that was great and fun and all. But I also had my eye on playing the electric guitar because it was a lot easier for me to play, because I had also
Big
yeah,
prod.
yeah, they're huge. And I had broken my collarbone, um, and like I had a metal plate in it, and it was just like so uncomfortable, and it hurt. And I'd fiddle around with his, being that we were roommates, I'd like fiddle around with his guitar, and I was like, shit, this is so much more fun to play and easier, and there are more interesting things that I can get out of this instrument than the acoustic guitar. And I also have not found at the time, like I never really liked acoustic guitar amplified live. Like it, to me, even to this day, it doesn't, like a steel string specifically, it doesn't really sound nice. It sounds kind of, unless you get a really good,
it sounds like shit.
yeah,
But I gotta say, like, and I love acoustic guitars and everything from
me too.
I mean, in all sorts of musics, but live where you just throw a pickup in that shit,
Fucking disgusting.
you really have to have somebody with you manning those boards that is like,
Who knows what they're doing? Yes, agreed.
a lot more, because it's so clean, and also what's in your hands, the player has to be so like beautiful. And I don't even fucking play guitar, but I know this because I don't like things that sound like shit. So,
Right. Yeah, no, but that's it. Like at least, you know, there's an ear, you have an ear for it. You can kind of tell. Anyway, so lucky for me, Metsier broke the acoustic guitar by accident. And then I borrowed another friend's electric guitar, and because of Metzier's, no, don't do that. Sorry,
Well,
my cat eats all the dead leaves that come in from the tree, and then he throws up everywhere.
just a quick aside, since the pandemic started, my dog Angus cannot stop licking the floor. I don't know why he started picking that up.
What the heck?
Floor licking like it's crazy, and I'm like, dude,
Oh, that's so weird.
for like an hour. Like, stop.
Why? Animals. Oh God, yeah, no,
So
now he's like just eating anything. Like he'll just before it didn't matter. He'd chew on certain things like string, but that makes sense because he's a cat. But now he's like eating anything on the plastic. So I'm like, it's like I have a baby.
no, no. I mean, we're locked in with them all the time too. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a whole.
right.
So
They're like, I need my space. Anyway,
we're
sorry.
no ambient jams. And you guys are playing, and you got into the electric guitar because it sounds so much better than the acoustics and stuff. And now you're
Yes,
exploring that sonically. You want electric?
yes,
You're Dylan. You're Dylan.
yeah, yeah. In a way, only it was better received than when you went electric. um, Yeah, and it was great too because of all of the other loud bands and math rock bands that he had played in before. He had a shit ton of gear that I could fool around with, and so we spent time doing that a bunch, and then just eventually got louder and louder, more conceptual, really trying to figure out certain
Was there
things.
was there like a since you both are art school students and so that was there like an aesthetic that you're like yes we're gonna like drive after this thing like we're trying to achieve this sort of thing maybe not like hey we want to sound like band X and Y but more like hey what's this what are we after.
Yes, exactly. There was no band X or Y. There were no genres even. It was about actually just about space and tension and because I um, also had very limited technological guitar skills, we sort of had to work around that too. Um, and realizing that like where my capabilities in the moment were, um, I we kind of worked out that lower end guitar playing and more rhythmic guitar playing and would suit me best. And then with that, I was able to figure. I mean, also anytime I came up with anything for the band, it was always pretty skeletal. It was like the fat of it, but just enough to give it a bit of structure, and then we would figure out the rest. And
So it was kind of like you two, you'd be like, "Hey, I got a little something," and then
yeah,
now we're gonna like start
yeah,
filling this more.
yeah,
Would
and vice versa. Yeah.
do you think about like lyrics and melodies like vocally kind of first, or do you just kind of find your way around? Like, how does that work for you?
Actually, melody and lyrics come later, way later.
Cool.
It's yeah, music first, a little bit of structure, and then melody, and then more structure, and then melody and lyrics. Usually lyrics I'm actually like still working on while we're recording, actually recording, because I like even though I have a, you know, again, going back to what we were talking about before, having like social anxiety and being super shy, um, I don't trust my speaking self very much. Like I'm a very anxious speaker, but writing, it's like I'm the most articulate, because I can take the time to really properly express myself. But so right up until I am actually about to sing the lyrics to record,
When you
I'm
commit,
still writing them. Yeah, so it's
I
kind of
think
like
that's
that.
kind of that's kind. I mean, I would say that I've definitely come in more planned and less planned at different moments when I've ever had to sing, and both have their kind of advantages and not. I think like sometimes I think that maybe when you're too planned, you're like I want to stick to the fucking plan, and then
Yeah,
you know, like you're like
yeah,
kind of, or if something doesn't work, maybe you're like, fuck, like, I want to like make it work, you know? And then sometimes when you're not, maybe you're like, oh, fuck, I should have thought about this or a little bit more. Or like, give me an hour. I have to like really think. But sometimes under that pressure, things happen, right? Like little magic moments happen and little things like that. I try and be a little less planned nowadays, personally. So
Yeah.
I think that's a fair approach too.
Yeah, now it is, because before we actually had everything planned, start to finish. We knew exactly what we were doing, and then some surprises would happen during recording, and then we would go with that and figure that out. But with our last record, when we recorded with Seth Manchester, it was a bit of a particular situation because our drummer had left because he had family and wanted to really focus on that. And so we were just sort of like not as prepared as we usually were, which was great, especially with how Seth works. There was a lot of room to play with and to actually, have those very pleasant surprises in what would be otherwise, well, see what I mean about the speaking? Oh my God, Robin. Which would otherwise
You're doing great.
not have happened. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so which would otherwise have not happened if we were as planned as we used, or like had everything very structured and planned as before.
And I think that's sort of really cool that you guys can do that, and that's like part of the journey. Because I think, well, one thing that you said before was your limitations and stuff. Like,
yeah,
and everyone's playing within a certain limitations or playing to certain strengths. Like every musician you've ever met in your life, it's like no one can do everything, and maybe the people that can do everything kind of suck at actually writing songs. So, who cares about that anyway?
Right.
So I think that is actually really cool, because in a world that seems so maximal, where you can get everything and do everything, and here's like 45 plugins and there's that, and like I just ordered like 3 Happy Meals, and then you're like, I'm like, cool, but where's the song, or what am I doing, and what's like the focus? And sometimes I think taking a lot away gives you a lane, it gives you a focus. And what you were saying, one of the things that captures me, or like I love about the band, is this space, is the moments, the pregnant moments of tension. It's like, and then nothing's happening here for a moment, or something, or it's a, and it's like, shut the fuck up and let this go. And it's great, and without trying to make a pun here, it's a brave decision, because you don't have a lot of time. There's not all this other shit going on that can like make you think otherwise, right? And that's interesting how that brought the aesthetic up. So when you kind of are writing the skeletons of the songs, and then you say like the vocals come later, or at least the lyrics, like nailing down the lyrics. But when you guys are jamming, are you putting the vocals a lot into those spaces to kind of measure a little bit out how it feels to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And to figure out what best suits the song as well.
Sure.
Yeah. Because it's weird to be writing this very minimalist kind of ish music, and then put a voice to it, I guess. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. Because so what is it? No, it's exactly what you said. Yeah, I do enter voice. Once there's like a structure, a little bit of a structure, we all kind of hold that in our heads, while we're figuring out the structure. Maybe it could go here, maybe it can go there, but also intermittently, if we do decide on a part that we know we're going to try to keep, and I say try, or that we know we might keep, I would ask the band to painstakingly repeat it over and over and over again, while I listen for a melody, and then try to find it or even work out the words,
But
because
that's interesting because that's like I was talking to Mike from Yob on here, and he talked
Mhm.
about that too. And I feel like
Okay.
that comes. He's like sometimes I'm just in my house looking for the next for just looking for the next sound, like just trying to
Yeah.
find stuff. You know,
Yes.
it seems like
Yes.
you guys as a band are
Yes.
doing your jamming, right? That's
Absolutely. Like,
cool.
yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, Matsur and I specifically, well, Matsur definitely more than I as of late, spends a lot of time just actually doing that, looking for sounds, like having an idea and then basically repeating it over and over and over again and just trying to listen and then changing things slightly or changing it completely or adding and then completely taking it away. Um, and then maybe adding a little bit more just to find what it is the song needs, not what we think should go, but what the song, well, yeah, what the song needs.
No, I think that you hit it on the head there because
Okay.
and sometimes it is subtraction too. I mean, your band. What I love about it too is again it's the space and there's a restraint, and then when it blows up, it feels like it also needs to blow up, and to put all those things in place in a more minimalist context is to me it's like infinitely harder thing to do than like you're a thrash band like and like bands like that are great. I love them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
doing something with that restraint, it's like every next note, every next change has to be something pretty fucking sick, or else you could just like at any moment. So
You're
it's
not wrong. And it's hard because we end up trying out a lot of things and a pair of ears might get used to it and like it more, and then another pair of ears is like, no, no, like we've done this 1,000 times, or no, no, it sounds cheesy as fuck, or like, um, so no, that's yeah, it's very, very, very hard, and it's especially like, yeah, no, it is. Especially considering that we literally play one note every song. It's one note. We rarely change chords.
yeah, it's
Like,
sick.
I actually don't think no, yeah, we don't. We don't. And we keep trying every song. We're like, do you think maybe we could try? And then we do it. And then I want to rip my eyes out because it sounds fucking terrible.
Well, I think that in a lot of ways, it's just there's just a different approaches and how different things come across. To me, it's like yes, I feel that, but then all the other changes underneath that chord is what makes everything else. Like I make techno music, right? And under the name Confines, and I've been in a lot of like heavy bands, but uh, to me, doomy metal and stuff like that, it follows along the same sort of wavelength as techno in a lot of ways because there's not like a ton of changes or and stuff like that. Sometimes there'll be one or two chords repeated a ton, but it's what moves underneath and around that can make it special or make something really stick out to the listener. Big
Yeah.
Brain, I think, is masterful at that.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind of you to say.
I, I'm
Thank
serious.
you.
I'm standing here. I'm being real.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's interesting that you say too. Yeah, no, because in playing, not to get into music theory at all because I am not well versed at all. I'm just picking up what I hear. But in playing, like, let's say if the song is in B, for example, I have 6 strings that I can tune in a certain way to get so many different subtle things happening all in B, and to add, like, for a lot of, how do I say this? Basically, there's a lot you can do with just the one. There is a lot. There is a lot you can do with the one chord song. How it's what you do with it that I guess depends on if it will or no, it's the listener. It's the listener. the
Sure.
listener will decide whether it is good or not. Um, but and it's yeah. So sorry, I'm going on a tangent. But what I want to say is that because we're writing new songs now, and I just it kind of dawned on me what I've been doing this whole time is that um, I subtly add things and take away things throughout the course of the entire piece to help the one chord song along, to give it a narrative, to give it the semblance of change. Um, because if I was just doing the same thing over and over, it's like hitting floor tom over and over again. It can be redundant, but I don't even know if people pick it up. But I'm like, I know what I'm
I,
doing, and
I
I think
never,
it
I,
sounds
I, I
good.
never really thought about it because I'm just captivated by the other drama of it, and it's like just a great example of great minimalist music making, in my opinion.
Thank
One of
you.
the things that I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
about was when I first heard the band years back, I was like, oh, this is kind of like a doomy esque band. When did you know like for yourself? It doesn't seem like you grew up super versed in like metal or anything like that. So
Yeah.
when did like having like heavier elements and stuff like that really come into play for you as like a listener and someone who plays? What are some of your favorite maybe bands that like brought you there?
Um,
Who's the
honestly,
Welch of like
sorry,
heavy? Who's the Jillian Welch of like the heavier stuff you listen
the
to?
heavier stuff. Am I frozen?
Yeah, you'll come back. You'll come back. I believe in you. You're good.
Okay.
It'll work itself out.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I guess that like doomy stuff. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
With regards to like doomy soundscapes, I think it would, well, honestly, I would have to say it would be, it would probably, uh, whether we recognize this or not, I think, having toured with Sun in our sort of formative years as a band
Mhm.
affected us deeply, um, especially getting to use
Oh, I miss. Hold on.
with
You're
their gear.
freezing up now.
Oh,
Now, go
okay.
ahead. Go ahead. You're back.
Oh, I can.
You said they were
Okay,
letting
yeah.
you any gear.
Have yes, and then being able to really understand what that was when we were really able to understand what we could do live. Like it was one thing to, excuse me, conceptualize um, music and to write it based on these concepts. It was another thing to actually have that translate live. We really cut our teeth playing the tiniest living rooms to those big stages that Sun was so generous at with sharing with us. Um, that that is, I think, the where that sort of more doomy soundscape comes from, especially because there is nothing more cathartic than going there, standing on that stage, and then feeling literally and like the vibrations actually move your in, like you feel it in your entire body. Um,
Yeah, it becomes
and
like body music.
Oh, totally,
It becomes
totally. And what
like
I love too, like, yeah, yeah, exactly. And what I love too about seeing Sun night after night after night was like, depending on which chord they were playing, you got to feel it in different parts of your body. And depending on where you were in the room, it kind of changed. Um, and so that was also something really interesting. And then when we got home after that first tour, I had to get an SVT because there was no way I was going to go. Yeah, yeah, that like way back in 2015 or something. I forget when it was, but um, that's when that changed, and that's when we started exploring or like going in that direction, just exploring those sort of
Yeah,
uh,
kind of heavier sounds, and I think it really, and not even just heavier sounds, but I think just kind of like the sort of dynamic kind of oral sort of composition. Because in Sun and a lot of heavier bands like that, you feel the tension between the space and the heaviness, and just again like moving
yeah,
moving parts and monolithic stuff, and you feel that
yeah.
too in something like Tim Hecker, right?
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%.
it
I
it
had
feels
I
to me a lot this in a same sort of context. It feels the same, you know, like you could put those things together. They're giving you different things, but the way that it works kind of feels a lot, right?
Yes, 1,000%. Absolutely.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So so that was definitely something that kind of started moving the band kind of closer to uh, kind of the sound that we've now have started to achieve with your last record, right? You guys got kind of, I feel like kind of got progressively more minimal and heavier.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I think so. Yeah.
Sure. That's something.
Yeah.
So with that kind of stuff, uh, I feel like the band, you know, there was just a nice tension, a nice just kind of arc with the whole thing. And then you guys actually released a music video for this past record that I thought was really interesting because you know the songs are long, and I'm like, here's
Yes.
this 7-minute video. Could you tell me about the video and how that kind
Yeah.
of came about?
Which one? Because there were two. One of them wasn't
Oh,
our favorite.
one was the one was for a holding pattern is the one that I saw, the one that's like all at nighttime.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. That was hard. That was a hard video to do because we also didn't know what to do. And we did like the idea of shooting a video, and we borrowed my best friend's camera because she does photography, portraiture, and food photography, and a whole bunch of other things. But she we kind of went to this like industrial zone just not too far from where we lived, and just shot some shots with this really powerful flashlight, and kind of put a narrative together, because whole like the actual song really it's quite different from the weird loose story you might get from that, because get from the visuals in that video. It's like basically what it feels like to in the video. It What I was trying to sort of help come across is what it's like, basically walking anywhere, day or night, but in this particular video, night, being female looking, and walking alone, and then like having someone even just walk close to you or near you and not knowing what they're in. Um, it's scary as fuck. And that's like a daily thing. Anyway, that's that video.
yeah, I
Um,
thought it was pretty powerful with the song and how it kind of came across. And when I
yeah,
actually read what it was about, I was like, wow, yeah, because there was the tension in the song. I think mirrored the visual really perfectly, and there was something there where I was just like, okay, cool. Like this is sort of the narrative of, or like one way that you can put it. One of the things that I just think makes great music in general is something where you can put different songs on at different moments, and they feel like they would encapsulate like just a moment given, and you're like, look, this is a scenario that happens all the time. And then I was like, damn, you know. And I put on Big Brave honestly a lot when the pandemic first started happening, when I
oh
would go
yeah,
run when I would go
oh
running.
yeah, oh
So
yeah.
I would run, and you know, I would just hear body and blood, and I'd be
Oh
like
yeah.
running, and I just
Oh
keep
yeah.
going and going and running, and a lot of shit was going wrong, but there was
Right.
like this sort of backdrop there where I was just like, wow, okay, cool. Like it just gave me this certain feeling, this thing, and I'm just kind of like running through.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, you know, I was kind of just looking into like visuals for this record because I've only listened to it, and then I came across the video, and I was like, wow, this is really different, but in a way, it was sort of similar because I'd be like running around and stuff, and I was like, but I'm in the
Right.
daytime doing my own
Right.
thing with my own.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Especially because I guess the lyrics and the visuals are vague enough that um you're able to, and I do this on purpose, so that the listener or the viewer can put them, like, actually carve out space for themselves within it, even though there are specific messages that I am saying, or I'm trying to convey. I do keep it vague enough where people can relate to it wherever they are, however, wherever they are in their lives and hearts or whatever they're going through.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that you give the way that you deliver the performances gives such a visceral quality, like just the band itself. It feels like it's just naturally growing. That's a really hard thing to do. Like it just feels organic. You know, it feels like you guys are just even the way that you guys are writing the songs is so organic. We're just jamming it until like, oh, now we stop. Now
mhm.
this we let's just take that little bit away. And it felt like the performances when you guys probably got in the studio were like, okay, here we go, roll the tape, and now we're off.
Mhm.
And what it is what it is. Like this is what you get, you know, very
Right.
organic and just true to itself. But it's just loaded with a lot of visceral moments and just really packed with stuff. Guys, you have to listen to this record. And so I think that one of the things there too about it though is that like yes you could read through it and then you can grab something from you know different moments, but when you're wailing away on these different notes that you're just kind of like throwing on top, people aren't going to necessarily know, but then you have these ways of putting like these little like hooks amongst the long soundscapes, and that's what I love. That
Yeah.
seems to pull you back in. Body and
Oh,
blood,
cool.
right? It's just here now. I don't
Right.
know everything else to it, but like I have that, and now I can dig deeper.
Right. Oh, that's
You know?
cool. Yeah, that's actually really cool because I'm I intention that's yeah, I intentionally do that. Because I also, I mean, I love pop music. Like there's so many
Same.
good fucking well-produced, beautiful pop music, like, and especially R&B and soul, like holy fuck. And the
Yeah.
melodies and the hooks and like the emotion behind it, like it just is insane. And even like certain songs by certain jazz musicians fucking kill me, even though it's 100% technical ability and skill, but they can fucking emote through whatever instrument they're playing, which is insane to me. And that comes across. And but
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so with regards to the hooks, I like to kind of sprinkle or like put something there to try to keep people or literally hook them in, and
Yeah.
something to follow too, because there is something to be said about um, uh, any kind of melody in a in a in or like a small semblance of like a melody or a hook in especially our songs, in a bunch of yelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
For sure.
um
Which is amazing, and I think that it to me it comes across so like that. Like I'm just like okay, we're coming back to this memorable moment, and even though the posture of the song is very like kind of washy, and like there's these different, you're giving us that to come back to.
Yeah.
We have 3 minutes left, and
Oh,
there's a
okay.
couple of questions that
Yeah.
are coming from the audience, and one of them is just, and I failed to ask this, but I'm very curious about it. Where did the name for the band come from?
Oh, excuse me.
No,
That's actually that has only okay. So at the beginning of the interview, we talked about the social anxiety and me being super shy and all of that. And with transitioning from this like folky ambient music to this loud thing that we started to do, I it took a lot for me to perform live and to even pursue music from the get-go. And I just and like considering what we were doing, it wasn't I don't know, I just felt that it took me a lot of courage to do this from the start. And it's actually the name still kind of rings true because it's taking me a lot of strength and courage to continue pursuing music for different reasons. But so I felt that I wanted that to be representative in the name, and it's like an unfinished sentence. It's adjective, adjective, big, brave,
Yeah.
whatever. Just a lot of, and it just means a lot of
I don't know if you guys
courage.
have this slang in Canada, but here people say big mad, like, oh, you're big mad about this. So to
Oh,
me,
interesting.
yeah, so I always thought about that because I'm like, oh, he's big mad or something like that.
Oh,
Big brave
interesting.
sounds just kind of like something else. Again, that's my like New York, North American
Oh, yeah, yeah.
sort of like view on it. But I was just like, oh, that's kind of amazing now that you explain on it. Because here it'd be almost like, oh, she's big brave, and that's kind of
Oh,
amazing. And
damn. Yeah.
that's exactly what you are. And honestly,
Oh,
I think making music and making art in general is like a process of becoming, and you're becoming a lot, like personally, but we're here for the ride, and absolutely great tunes. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
oh, of course. Thank you for even
And
thinking of me.
unfortunately, we should be seeing you on the Saint Vitus stage this month. But once this is all over, we're going to have to reconfigure that again, and get in touch.
Yeah, I
And
love that. Yes.
really nice to do this, and I'll talk to you soon. Stay
Yeah,
safe and
you
be well.
too.
All right, ciao.
Okay.